Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Today I want to talk about the sexual assault allegations against Joe Biden. Let me say first, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know I'm a strong supporter of women. I grew up with my mother and my sister as the man of the family when my father died at 9. I had to get a gun at one point, a shotgun, to defend my family. So it was a very real title. I've always been very comfortable with women. I have never once laid a finger on a woman. Never. I never could. I'm a strong supporter of women's rights, women in general. I've always felt comfortable around women. All right, so I have to admit that when I first started hearing these allegations, somebody in my family actually, when I told them, as you know, most of my family is Trump supporters, and I told them that I supported Biden, she spoke out and said, "Do you support somebody that assaulted a 14-year-old girl?" And I looked that story. I was shocked. I looked that story up, and that story is completely false. First of all, that story is false. It's based on a picture. If you guys see the picture, it's ridiculous. That story is false. But I'm saddened to admit that it's starting to look like Joe might have made some bad choices. The phrasing in the past year or two, the way the Biden campaign is phrased, that some of Joe's actions might have been, they apologized for it. It starts to make it look like they're somewhat admitting it. So I started reading the allegations. Tara Reade, her name is Tarareade, Reade, Tara Reade. Okay. I'll be honest with you guys. I want Trump out of office. I need Trump out of office. I think the whole country needs Trump out of the Oval Office. So I was disheartened to read this story. I didn't want, I hate to say it, but I didn't want to believe it. After reading the story, and I especially read the comments or the statements of her brother, Tara Reade's brother, and on how he heard about this incident and how he believes his sister was trying to spare him the details. And you know what? Hearing that and being a big brother myself, it sounded very real. I believe it. Unfortunately, I do believe her story. Here's the part that that bothers me so much. Okay, we've got Donald Trump and Joe Biden. More than likely, we're going to have a choice between A and B. Now there's no solid facts 100% that this is true against Joe Biden, but it's starting to look like we have Trump, a serial groper and abuser of women, a whoremonger, a liar, and Joe Biden, who has sexually assaulted women in the past. And I'm saying that's the allegations. And it's starting to look, again, like these are our choices, which makes me say that our system is fucking broken, man. We need more we need more choices. I don't like the fact that we just have A and B. I don't like it at all. Here's what bothers me the most. I was very suspicious as why Tara Reade, this happened in 1993 supposedly. I read the whole story, how she was asked to bring Biden a gym bag. Supposedly Biden got her up against the wall, groped her, fingered her, for lack of a better way to put it. And so my problem was, well, of course, why didn't you speak out? Now, I don't talk about this often, but I'm a sexual assault victim. When I was 11 years old, my mother started dating a cop from town after my father died. And this policeman told me, yeah, I'll be there for you. I'll watch out. You know, you need a guy to, you know, if you need anything, you come to me. And at one point, you know, he started giving me Playboys and penthouses, you know, like a buddy bonding. I later found out it's called grooming. And then I still remember the day where he asked me, how's the stem of your stinger? And he reached down and grabbed my crotch. And that went on. It was 2 long years until I assaulted him with a baseball bat, and it finally ended. So I didn't expect to tell you guys about this story. Anyway, I'm familiar with the way people act, the way a story comes out. It's especially being a man, a heterosexual man. It's hard. It was hard to talk about this. It took me 30 years or more before it finally came out. People criticized Tara Reade because it came out in smaller bunches, and the story changed a little bit over time. And I understand that's the way it happens, because you don't. It's a hard thing to talk about, and you kind of put it out there a little bit at a time because that's all you can handle. It's a hard thing to talk about, and as you see people, the way people react, you feel a little more self-assured that you could tell the whole story, and that people are going to believe you. That was one of my greatest fears, that I would tell my mother and she wouldn't believe me. How do you tell your mother? How would I tell my mother that a policeman she's dating is trying to grab my dick? Not an easy thing to say. Anyway, I got sidetracked. The thing I want to talk about here is, apparently she's tried to tell this story before, but it hasn't been in the news. It's like the media was ignoring her. And it starts to make me wonder about the Democrats, the whole institution. If they're trying to snuff the story. And why the media didn't come out with this story earlier. Now, Tara Reade says that she's been trying to get this story out because she didn't want it to get to this point where he's the last man, Biden is the last man standing. Now he is the presumptive candidate. And it's the worst time for this story to come out, because before she wanted him to step down. Of course, after assaulting her, she didn't think that he'd make a good candidate. I keep thinking of this other thing. That's why I just stopped in that sentence. Is he was vice president with Barack Obama, and I got a problem with why it didn't come up then. I believe her story. I need to know why this story is taking this long to tell. Now, as I hear myself say that, I realize I'm an idiot, because it took me 30 years to tell my story. So, you know what it is? Wanting Trump out so bad, I know that I'm being unfair to this woman, and I shouldn't be. As like I said, my own position. I do believe her story. The way that if you read her story, you read especially her brother's statements and her descriptions of everything, and unfortunately, I do believe her story. So it leaves us with a lot of questions. It leaves us with the question as to why the media, this hasn't been brought to our attention before now, before this critical point. That bothers me. It makes me, there's been a few things lately that I have an old-fashioned view of the media, as journalism, telling the truth, bringing the American people, Walter Cronkite and all that. And as of lately, they've let me down a few times, and I'm starting to question it more and more. Um, yeah, so that's my big question as to why we weren't told about this story, why this story hasn't been presented to the public before now, before this critical juncture, that we're now basically left with a man with serious sexual assault allegations against him, and a man with proven sexual assault allegations. Yeah, it's a broken system. All right, you guys have a good Saturday. I'll be back in a while.